Okay, well, I guess it's morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm Rachel Berlin with RLB Art Studio, and today we are creating a really fun project called Elephants of India. So for this project, you need paper, a pencil, a Sharpie marker if you have it, oil pastels, and watercolor paint. So those are the supplies that you need, so let's get started. What I did earlier today is I actually drew this out on a practice piece of paper so you can kind of see what the elephant looks like. You can kind of see what he looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scooch this over here. I'm going to go over this with a black Sharpie marker so you can see, what it looks like. And then I'm going to redraw it again on the white paper. So I just want you guys to kind of see what I'm doing on this tan paper, okay? So the way, and you don't have to draw this yet. This is just the beginning of, I kind of want to show you what you're going to be drawing before you actually start drawing. So the way that you begin this elephant is you're going to make a large C. The C is the head and the beginning and the trunk. All right, so you make a large letter C first, okay? Now to you, it might look like a backwards C. I'm not sure. Then from here, what you're going to do is up at the top here, you're gonna make the back of the elephant, but you have to, start where the C begins, go up, and then across to the edge of the paper. And again, guys, I'm going to be drawing this all over again on the white piece of paper. I just wanted to show you how to draw this 2 times because it makes it easier to see it twice rather than just once, okay? After you do that, what you're going to do is you're going to find where that point is. You go down a ways and you're going to make this part of the elephant's face right here, this little curve right here. Okay, you make the little curve right here, and at the end of that curve, that's where you finish. That's how you finish the trunk. So you start there, and it's like you're making like a hook, like a line, and we make a hook, and then you do the end of the trunk right here, and that looks like a 3, like a 3 on its a side, or like an M. Okay. So you can see that the elephant's starting to form, right? You can see that it's starting to form. Now from here, what you want to do is after you have, the trunk is done, then you want to create the elephant's ear. And elephants have very large ears. There's the elephant's ear. After you make the ear, then you know where to draw the leg. So the leg, you're going to start where the ear is. You're going to go down with a straight line, a little past the trunk, and then across. It's like you're making the letter L. And then what you do is you go back up, and now I slant this line just a touch. This is his leg. And then you're going to add his belly. And that's how you create this. That's the basics of how you make this drawing, okay? So now that you know the basics of this drawing, let's draw it for real. All right, now it's for real draw time. So I'm going to scooch this over. And I'm going to scooch this guy here, and then I'll bring this over here. Okay, so I like to start with pencil. I suggest you guys also start with pencil because, you can't erase marker, and you can't erase crayon, and you can't erase oil pastel. So what you can do, though, is you can erase pencil. So let's start with pencil. So the very first thing you want to do is, like I said, you're going to draw the letter C, all right? So, you want this elephant to be pretty big. And now you can't see him. I'm going to scooch him here. Move this guy over. I'm moving some stuff around here. This I think will make more sense. More sense for us visually. Okay. So tomorrow, I have to tell you guys about tomorrow. Tomorrow's free Facebook class is going to be a pop-up sculpture of an amusement park. So 3D pop-up amusement park sculpture. Super cool. And it's very easy. It's not super hard. All right, so I'm gonna make my letter C, a big letter C. I'm gonna start about here, and I'm going to draw. Go light till you get it right. I go right up to the edge of my paper. All right, there's the C. For whatever reason, this light's not working very good. There's the C. Okay. Why am I getting a shadow here? I had to bring all my plants inside because it got cold out. And so I'm thinking that some of them, I had to bring this guy in because I was worried he was gonna freeze and die. But he's fine. Okay, so after you have that, what you want to do is you're going to start right here where the letter C dips down. You're gonna go down a little bit if you need to, draw down a touch. And then you're going to bring it back up. So it kind of looks like a little V, like the letter V right here. And then you're going to bring this line all the way over to the side. Like that. All the way over to the side. Okay, so it looks like this. This definitely does not look like an elephant yet. Okay, so from here, and I'm gonna round this out a little bit, change it out. All right, so from here, the next thing that we wanna do is find the V right here and scooch down a ways, kind of figure out where, like this is like the main part of his head, kind of figure out where you want that curved line to be. We're gonna make this part right here. That part's next. So I think I want mine right about here, and there we go. Okay, then what I can do is I can start at the end of this curved line, and I can make that hook-like line. Make that hook-like line. So you're making the other side of the trunk. Maybe I want it to go down a little bit. Okay, so I got my hook-like trunk. Then at the end of it, I want to close off the end of the trunk here. Looks kind of like an M or a 3. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Now you might need to adjust it a little bit. I'm always adjusting. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to erase, redraw, erase, redraw, erase, redraw. All right, the next step is to draw the elephant's ear. You're gonna make the elephant's ear. And the ear goes right next to that curved line that you made. So the ear goes right here. Playing around with the light to see if I can get it look better for you guys. Okay, now from here what you want to do, yeah, these look good. All right, Max, do you guys have a question? All right, go ahead.
Ear, is it okay if I make it like this?
Yes. Yep, your ear, the shape of your ear could look a little different. If you want your ear to look more like the letter C, that's fine. Of course. Yep, your ears could look any, you know, elephants aren't all the same. There's elephants from India, and then there's elephants from Africa. So they look a little different. So your elephants can look a little bit different, definitely. All right, these are just suggestions. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to move on to the leg. So the leg starts at the ear, and I like to slant the line just a little bit. I slant it, and it goes past where the trunk is. And then I'm going to draw the bottom of it. And then the other side of the leg. And then give him his belly. Oops. Give him his belly. Okay, now there is something that I left out, and that is the tusk that comes out of the elephant. Now, you don't have to have the tusk. Not all elephants have them. So where you're going to add the tusk? The tusk, this curved line right here, this is kind of like where his mouth would be. That's where you're going to draw the tusk. So you're going to start here, and you're going to make a line that looks, you're making like a long, you're kind of making an angled triangle. So you're going to draw across the trunk. Like that. And then let me show you where you start the other side of the tusk. The other side of the tusk starts right here. Right here. Right where those meet. And so you draw there and you go to here. Like that. And there's the tusk. Now the tusk looks kind of weird right now because the trunk is in there. So you got to just erase that line right there. Just get rid of this line right here with your eraser. There you go. Now he's got his tusk. You know, and you can tweak it if you need to. There we go. Yes, these look amazing. Oh, I love them. You guys are so good at this. Nice job. Okay, the next thing that we want to do is we want to add the eye in. All right, now the elephant's eye is about, it's like right about like here. Right about in here. Kind of right where the ear is, where the bottom of the ear, like where it ends, like right here. If you kind of follow that right about here, that's like right about where the eye is. And so the way that I made the elephant's eye is I made a half circle. And that, you know what, that might, well, does that look right? That's about right. I could even scooch it up a little bit. You're going to kind of want to play around with where the eye is a little bit, you know, depending on what your elephant looks like. So maybe my eye is going to go up just a tad. So I make a half circle for the eye, and then I do a circle on the inside. Like that. So that's what I have so far. Now, if you want to tweak anything, now is the time to do it. So you can erase and redraw. You know, I think the couple things that I might want to do is I'm going to fix the head right here. I'm just not going to make it as bumped up, maybe. Kind of smooth it a little bit right here. And then I need to erase this line. I have a couple lines for the ears. I'm going to erase, you know, the line that I don't like. I can erase that now. Erase some stuff. Okay. Oh, the other thing you want to do is give him some nails, some toenails. He needs some toenails. So down here, you're going to make a curved line. You start here and you go down like this. And then next to that, you're gonna make a smaller one like this. Now, I want to show you guys one more thing because this is an option for you. And I didn't draw this, but you can. If you want to show the elephant's other leg, his other front leg, you can do that. And here's how you do it. You draw it over here like this. Like that. And then it looks like he has two legs. So you can do that if you would like to. But you wouldn't see the nails because the nails would be behind this one. Does that make sense? All right, so that is how you draw the elephant. The next step, if you have a Sharpie, you'll want to trace over everything that you like, all the pencil lines that you like. Now, you'll also want to color in the inside, the black circle in the eye. So you want to color that in. So go ahead and Sharpie all the lines that you like. If you want to, when you do the eye, when you color in the black part, if you leave a tiny little white spot, it will make the eye look like it has a highlight. So you color it all in except for a tiny little spot right there. And then it looks like it has a highlight. Okay, so that's what I have so far. Now I want to erase any pencil lines that I still see. Get rid of them. Erase, erase, erase. All right, so elephants are extremely smart and they have a very good memory. Very good. They can remember things from years and years and years ago. When I was, gosh, I was pretty young, probably, I don't know, like 6 or 7. And I went to, I think it was like a fair. I went to a fair and I got to ride an elephant. It was so cool. And their skin, like, you know, you're up, and I was little then, so you're up on this big, huge animal, and you feel so tiny because they're so big. And I remember like feeling its skin, and their skin is so tough and so like wrinkly. It almost feels like bark on a tree. I mean, not as tough as that, but you know, that's kind of like the best reference I can give you. But it was very, very cool. Oh yes, look at that elephant. He looks great. Nice job. Oh yeah, these look good. Nice job, guys. Oh, they look fabulous. I love them. All right, so speaking of the elephant and the elephant's wrinkles, that's the next thing that we want to focus on, because elephants have very tough, very thick, very wrinkly skin. So what you want to do is you can use the oil pastel, and you want to find the white. If you have a white oil pastel, that's what you want to use next. Now, one problem with white oil pastels, especially if they're naked, that means they have no paper around them anymore. Most of mine are naked. That's oil pastels, I mean. Now, the oil pastel, the white ones, if they're naked, they get really dirty. See how dirty that is? Sometimes you can't even tell that it is white. So what you have to do is you just rub it on a practice, like a scrap piece of paper, to get all of the dirtiness off of it, because you want it to be white when you use it. So I need to clean mine off. And I'm just gonna use, actually, you know what? I'm just gonna use this paper right here. Get it cleaned off. Now I'm gonna move this over because you're not gonna be able to see the white on here. You're not gonna be able to see it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the white on the tan paper so you can see. So here's the tan paper. Oh, he's missing his eye. I better add that back in so it makes sense to what we're doing here. Okay. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna focus around the eye. So to make the wrinkles around the eye, you're just simply going to be making some rings around the eye, like this one. See the rings that are made around the eye? I did, let's see, 1, 2, and 3. So I did 3 of them around the eye. So you can go ahead and do 3 around the eye, and they don't need to be perfect, obviously. There's 3 around the eye. Bring this a little closer so you can see it. There you go. And then from there, what you want to do is you want to make a line inside of the ear. So right here. Oops. This always happens to me. I break the oil pastels. Always happens. They still work. It's just a little harder to use when they're little tiny babies like this. Make sure you're pressing hard. That's how the inside of the ear looks. Okay. The next thing that you're going to want to do with the white is you're going to want to make the wrinkles along the trunk that hangs down. So if you look at this one, look at the white areas. So we've got all these lines, these white lines that start up here and they come all the way down and they go into, you can make them go all the way down to the tip of the trunk if you would like. You can leave a space. You can leave a space here and then jump down. It's closer so you can see. Now there's a few things that you want to color in with white. Number one, you want to color in the tusk, all white, color it in all white. And then you also want to color in those fingernails white too. So go ahead and do that. Color in that tusk. Now I'm using the side of my white, so it's getting a little dirty, but that's okay. It will, it'll give this a little bit of dimension. Okay, there we go.
No.
Do you guys have a question?
No.
No? Okay.
Mute it then, hon.
You know how to mute it, then?
Yeah, I think I do.
All right, so when you are done with the white, the next step is adding all of the other things that you would add to this elephant if this was an elephant from India. Now, excuse me, elephants that live in India, they celebrate the elephant all the time. Like the elephant is a huge part of their culture. And they decorate, they adorn the elephant with a lot of different things. They actually paint on the elephants. They paint flowers. They paint really beautiful designs. They, you know, the elephants have like these fancy like little headpieces that they wear. They have them, so you can ride the elephant. They have these fancy blankets that the elephants wear on their backs. They also have like bells and like little chimes that they wear. So when they walk, it makes sounds. Today when I was getting ready, I was like, oh my gosh, you know what? I have some jewelry that is very, it makes me think of India. So like I have these earrings on today. They've got tassels on them and they are like super bright colors. And then this design is, you know, a design that you would, like a shape that you would see in the culture in India, and lots of bright colors, flowers. Also, when I did this elephant, so I created the elephant first, and then I was thinking about like the background, and I'm like, how can I show that this is like from India even more. So what I did is I made these cool designs in the background, and I did this because I actually have one of these decorations in the studio, and it's from India. So let me grab it so you can see it, and that's where my idea came from for the background. But what you want to do is you want to go ahead and design your elephant however you would like. So this is the cool decoration that I have in here. I have all kinds of interesting things that I find. And this is from India, but you can see, you know, it's circles and it has pom-poms. It has mirrors. It's pretty long. I have it hanging from the ceiling. And then it's got like this cool tassel-y thing at the bottom. So when I did my designs for my elephant, I also use a lot of like tassels, like little lines coming down. I did a lot of swirls. I did some wavy lines. So I'm gonna go through and show you how I decorated. I'm gonna decorate my elephant and kind of walk you through it. You can use some of these designs. You can use all of these designs. It's completely up to you. You decide, okay? So I'm gonna scooch this over here, and you're gonna do all of this with Oil Pastel. So all of this with Oil Pastel. So I went with the color scheme with this one. I picked out, like, I don't know, I went with yellow, dark green, lime green, and orange. So I picked out those colors, and I used those colors to decorate my elephant. So for this one, I want to do something different. I think I'm going to do pink. I think I'm going to go red. I'm going to use red, and I'm going to use, like, light blue. I'm going to use red and light blue. And then, you know what? I think I'll use orange too. I like orange. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the blanket that goes on the elephant's back. So I'm going to take my red. I'm going to draw a line here, and then I'm going to bring it down a little so it's going behind the ear, and then bring it across. So that's like the blanket right there. And then I can fill that in however I'd like. If I want to give it some tassels, what I do is I'd make some squiggly lines like this. There's one. Make some more squiggly lines like this. 2. And then maybe some more squiggly lines over here. And 3. So those are how you make the tassels. And then over here, if I wanted to give the elephant like a fancy headpiece, I would draw up like a half of a circle. So start here and then bring it down like this. If you go over one of the wrinkles, that's fine. Okay, so maybe that's the headpiece. And then I want to add some lines to that. I'm just going to do some straight lines, a whole bunch of them, like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump down to the legs, and I'm going to add some detail to the legs. So I think I'm going to make it look like it has some ankle bracelets on. So I'm going to start here and make a line that goes all the way over to the other side of the leg. And then maybe I'm going to make a wavy line that looks like this underneath it. Now I'm going to do another one over here on this leg, so they match, but I'm going to drop it down a little bit. Like that. And then maybe, you know what, maybe I want to do another ankle bracelet closer to the toes. And then I think I'm going to jump back up to where the trunk is, like right in here. I think I'm going to do some cool design right in here. I think I'm going to make like a half circle, a big half circle, a medium half circle, and then a small half circle. Okay, now I only use one color right now because I'm going to go back in and I'll fill it in. So that's what I have so far. Now, obviously, I really want to pizzazz this up. I want to jazz this elephant up. This elephant is from India, so it needs lots of colors, lots of shapes, lots of different lines. So I'm gonna start up here with the blanket, and I'm gonna start filling this in. So I think I'm gonna take my orange, and I really like using this half circle design. So I'm gonna make a half circle here with the orange. And then after that, I think I'm going to draw another line below it. And then I might fill this in with orange. Fill it in with orange. And then, what should I do next? Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll make some little half circles right along the edge of the blanket. Like this. Maybe I'll color those in. Here we go. So I'm going to go through with my orange, and I'm going to add orange to the headpiece, and then I'm going to add some orange to the bracelets on the legs. And your designs can be completely different, or you can borrow my ideas. I'm fine with that. So I think I'm going to make a circle here, and then another circle. And then I think maybe I'm gonna do this pattern, this half circle pattern here.
Say hi. Hi. Hi.
Miss Rachel.
Hi, Cora.
Mother Pupacast.
I saw you broke your arm.
What's in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ow.
Do
Okay.
your art now.
Okay. Put it back on
Unmute it.
mute.
Or mute it again so that.
I just want to see.
Okay, there we go. Filling this in. So when I did this project, this was the step that I was most excited about, was decorating the elephant. I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many things you could do. And I just kept going. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I need to stop. I need to stop decorating. I'm gonna add some orange, I'm gonna do some longer lines here too. And like I said, guys, it's okay if you go over top of some of the wrinkles. The wrinkles will still show. And then maybe here. Okay, I think I'm going to move on to my next color, which is blue. Do the blue next. Now, if you wanted to do flowers on this, you could. You could do flowers on this too. I'm gonna go back to my red and I'm gonna do a flower here. Color that in. Now, you know, most of you, I believe, have used oil pastels before. So, you know, you've heard me talk about how awesome they are. They're super blendable. So what I love about using them is I can go over top of a color easily with another color. So what I mean by that is I'm going to come up to the blanket up here and you see the orange right here. I'm going to go right over top of the orange with my red. And I'm going to make swirls in there and it's going to show up really, really nice. See that? It goes right over top of it really easily. So you can layer easily with oil pastels. Now crayon and marker, it's kind of hard to do this with. I'm gonna make some swirls over here. I like it to all match. I like my design to match. I'm gonna go with this blue here and see if I can fill this area in blue. Now, the color of elephants, they're gray or like brown usually. Yeah, gray or brown. And you can decide which color you would like to use. I use more of a gray with mine. I made mine more of a grayish color. Now, I don't want to color all this in right here. I just don't feel like it right now. So what I can do is I can still fill it in with some designs, but I don't have to necessarily color it all in. So I'm just going to add some lines right here. And then I'll just leave it white like that. I like how that looks. Down here, I'm going to add some petals. Okay. All right, so here's how my elephant looks so far. Oh yeah, these look really good. Oh, I like the headpiece that he has on, or he or she. Nice job. Yeah, these look good. Woo, these are awesome. Cool. Okay, now, you know, the one that I showed you earlier, this one, you see this thing that's coming out of the headpiece? You can make these too. It's like their feathers that would be coming out of the headpiece. So it's curved. It's like you bring the line up and then you curl it, and you do a couple of them. So you could add that if you want to. Now, if you want to do some decorations in the background, you know, behind, wherever the background is, everything that's behind the elephant, everything that's behind. Or if you want to give him a ground. So he obviously isn't going to be floating in the air. Could you imagine seeing an elephant floating in the air? That'd be quite the sight. So you want to figure out what, you know, where your ground is going to be and what color you want it to be. It doesn't really matter. You could use, actually, yeah, let's go with, I'm going to use green. So I'm going to take my green oil pastel and I am going to draw a line like this. So it looks like he is standing on something. He or she is standing on something. And then the background, everything behind the elephant, you can decide what you want to do. If you want to make some of these cool designs, you can do that. I'll show you how I did that. So I picked, you know, I picked some colors out. I think I'm just going to go with some of the colors that I already used. So I'm going to go with orange. And what I did is I made some circles. So I made different size circles. So there's one. And then I made like a bigger one here. And they all go in like a line. They all go in a line. And then maybe there was one down here. And then maybe this is another strand of those cool designs here, but you won't see anything. So maybe over here, I'll do a bigger one. And then an orange one here. So I started with the circles first. And then after I had the circles, that's when I added all the lines around the circles. So maybe I went like this. And again, this is totally optional. If you don't want to do this, that's fine. Remember, this is your art project. You can make it however you'd like. What I'm teaching you is just, these are just suggestions. You can try them or not. You decide. You are the artist. I'm going to take a darker blue color so I can make the line. So I'm going to start here, draw a little line, and I want these to look like they're connected. So then those are like my cool designs that are in the background. Oh, and you know what else I said I wanted to do? I wanted to do that piece right here on the head piece. I'm gonna go with red. I'm gonna start at the head piece, draw up, and then curl it. Kind of looks like a candy cane. Start at the head piece again, and then curl it. And then maybe I'm going to do one more here. Actually, I'm going to do two more like that. Okay, so there's like the little feathers, feather-like things that come off of the headpiece. Okay, now the next step when you are done with your oil pastel, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to be using the watercolor paint. Now, what's really cool about oil pastel and watercolor paint is oil pastels have wax in them. Not wax, I'm sorry, I'm thinking crayon. Oil pastels have oil in them. So oil and water don't mix. So what's going to happen is you can paint right over top of the oil pastel, and the oil pastel is not going to budge. The other thing that's going to happen is the oil pastel is going to push the watercolor paint away. It's like, hey, shoot, get off of me, go away. And so that makes it really easy to fill in spaces around where the oil pastel is. So you don't have to be super careful. So I have 2 different brushes, and you can use either one, it doesn't matter. I have a round and a flat, so there's my round and my flat. This is the round, this is the flat. And you want to get yourself some water because watercolor paint won't work unless you have water. And so to make gray, you're going to add a lot of water to your black, and that's going to make it gray. Brown, you know, you're just going to use brown, add water to the brown. You could do a blend of black and brown and see how that turns out. What you want to try to avoid, though, is you want to try to avoid having your elephant be like really, really black, because elephants aren't black. You know, they're gray. They're multiple shades of gray. Some are lighter, some are darker, and then there are also elephants that are more brown. So I have my black here, so let's see what happens. I'm going to paint my elephant first. I'm going to go right over top. There we go. And look at what's happening. So you can still see that white wrinkle that we drew in where the ear is. I love this technique. This is called a resist, what we're doing, using the oil pastel and watercolor paint. The oil pastel is resisting the watercolor paint. It's like, get out of here, go away. Okay, now if you do get it too dark, like if you get it really dark like that, which that might happen, if it gets really, really dark like that, just add more water to it. Add some more water and spread it around. So I got mine really dark in that spot. Let me show you how to easily fix that. It's fixable. Very, very easily fixable. So I'm gonna grab some water and smooth that out. There we go, now it goes away. Now sometimes, do you see how in the ear now it looks like a little splotchy? Sometimes I like how that looks, especially with the elephant, because it makes the elephant skin look a little more tough. So you can do that too. You don't have to make it all look super smooth. You can make it kind of a little blotchy, where it's a little bit darker in some spots and a little bit lighter in some other areas. Now, when you are using watercolor paint, it's best to paint it flat like this. Paint it flat, because water, once you hold it up, the water is going to dribble down. You can see that that's happening to me right here because I'm holding it up. So if you are using watercolor, you definitely want to leave it flat rather than holding it up. I love how you can just paint right over top of the oil pastel and it just bubbles up. See how it bubbles up like that? I'm sure you're experiencing that too. So I was on Sunday, on Mother's Day, I went and I saw my mom, and then I went and ran some errands on Sunday, and guess what's open? Michael's is open. Yay for Michael's being open. And the canvas, they are having a huge sale on canvas. You can get the value packs, which is like the bulk packs of canvas. It's normally $19.99. It is now $10.99. So you can get, if you get the big ones, you get 5 of them for $10.99, which is a really good price. If you get smaller pieces, you get more. Like if you get 8 by 10 canvas, I think you get 7 of them. It's only $10.99 instead of $20. So huge savings. So if you're looking to get some more canvas or art supplies, Michael's is now open. I was very excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, Michael's is open. I must go. During normal times, gosh, I go to Michael's probably at least 2 times a week. I'm always running out of supplies, or I want to try something new, or you know, I have some sort of commission that I'm working on that I need something. Also, I posted earlier today that I am now taking private art students again in the studio. So if you're interested in coming for a private art lesson, I am now taking students. So excited to have students back in the studio. I must say, I like doing the online classes, but I definitely like seeing you guys in person better. But these online classes are great. I'm still going to be doing online classes, just probably not as many, because right now I'm teaching all my classes 5 days a week online. And I'm pretty soon I'm going to be cutting back to probably just a couple days a week. Okay, so that's what I have so far. I love once you give the elephant color, it really comes to life. It looks really good. You know, if you want to play around with some color variation, the space around his eye is always much darker. Those wrinkles are darker, so you could make it darker around the eye if you want to. There we go. I made it a little darker around the eye. And then maybe over here, I could make it a little bit darker because that's where it would be shadowed. The ear would be creating a shadow right here. And maybe underneath the blanket would be a little darker. And this leg right here would be darker because it's behind. Maybe not black though. I got that a little too dark. All right, when you're done with the elephant, then what you want to do is you want to fill in the background. And you're going to use watercolor paint to do that as well. Where I'm going to begin is I'm going to begin at the bottom, because anytime wet watercolor touches wet watercolor, they bleed into one another. So keep that in mind. They'll bleed into one another. So if I paint down here, I'm pretty safe right here. And not only that, this oil pastel line will keep the paint down below. It'll keep it from going above. So I'm going to paint the bottom green Paint the bottom green. And of course, you can play with the colors. Add other colors in if you want to. I might add a little bit of blue into here and see how that looks. Sometimes the grass does look like bluish green. So I added some blue in. You can kind of see it a little bit. Okay. And then the last thing I want to do is I want to paint behind the elephant. Now, you don't have to paint behind the elephant if you don't want to. It kind of just depends on your personal preference. If you want to leave it white, that's fine. Some good colors to paint the background would be like blue or yellow. Actually, you can use any color you want. It doesn't really matter. I think, you know, to make this a little bit different, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to really change it up and I'm going to paint the background yellow. I'm going to go with yellow. And of course, you can pick any color you want. Doesn't matter. And you know what? It'd probably be better to start at the top and work your way down. And the more water you add, the lighter the color is going to be. If the color is really, really, really light, you know what we call that in watercolor? We call it a wash. It's a light layer of color. I have to tell you, I've had multiple people ask me about these projects that we're doing. They don't want to make the project, but you know what they want to do? They want to buy the art projects. They're like, are you selling that elephant? Are you going to sell that koi painting? I'm like, sure. Yeah, if you want to buy it, I'll sell it to you. Why not? I really like how that yellow looks. Oh, look at what happened. The black was wet and it touched the yellow, and look at it started to bleed a little bit. So that will happen, but it's okay. I'm just going to leave it alone. I'll work with it later. I can go over top of it later with something, fix it. Now, I have something else to tell you guys. So, watercolor. When watercolor dries, you can go over top of it with more watercolor. Like if you wanted to go in with some designs, some fine detail with watercolor, you can. The other thing that you can do with watercolor is once it is dry, you can go over top of it with marker. You can go over top of it with crayon. you can go over top of it with Oil Pastel. So let's say, you know, I have my background here and I notice that there's a mistake or something I don't really like. I can cover it up with Oil Pastel or marker. So I can fix it if I need to, or I can just jazz it up even more. I want to show you one more thing. The elephant, you know, if he were standing, he would be casting a large shadow because he's big, right? So what I want to do is I'm going to add a shadow. Shadows, people think that shadows have to be black or brown. They don't. A shadow can be any darker color. So the ground is blue here. So my shadow could just be a darker blue. Doesn't have to be black, doesn't have to be brown. I'm actually going to use like a purple first. So I'm going to make a shadow right here. It kind of goes this way because the light would be over. I'm having the light over here, so the shadow would go this way. There we go. He looks like he's casting a shadow. His trunk would probably make a shadow too. There we go. Now he's got a shadow, some shadowing. You could add a little black in there if you wanted to. Okay. And that is how you make the elephant from India. Now, what you might notice is your paper is going to start to curl. It does weird. It ripples, it curls, and it'll calm down. Once it dries, it'll flatten back out a little bit. The other thing that you can do is put something heavy on top of it, like a book, like a few books, and just leave it alone, and it'll flatten out for you. It doesn't matter what kind of paper you use. If you're using something with water, the paper is going to get a little bit ripply and curl a little bit. A lot of times watercolor artists, they'll tape their paper down while they're working so it's nice and flat, but we didn't do that today because we were using more than one medium. So we were using Oil Pastel and watercolor paint. So that is how you make the elephant. I hope that you enjoyed this project. I can't wait to see your elephants. You know, they definitely look so different depending on the colors that you use. So look at these two. I've got one that's more, you know, it's cooler colors. I would say there's more cool, well, I don't know, kind of. There's cooler colors, and then this one has more warm colors to it. So those are the elephants.